Some people aren't misunderstood because they're different, but because they see too much. There are people who walk through life feeling as though they are speaking a language no one else can hear, not because they are smarter, wiser, or more important than others, but because their minds rarely stop searching beneath the surface of things. They notice pauses in conversations that everyone else ignores. They sense emotions hidden behind smiles. They replay moments long after they have ended, wondering what was truly meant, what was left unsaid, and what deeper meaning exists beneath ordinary interactions. To the outside world, they often appear calm, thoughtful, and self-aware. Friends may describe them as insightful. Strangers may see them as quiet, yet beneath that composed exterior is a mind constantly processing layers of reality most people never consciously examine. What makes this experience especially difficult is the contradiction at its center. The same depth that allows them to understand others often makes them feel profoundly disconnected from them. The gift of perception slowly becomes the burden of isolation. They can sit in a crowded room and still feel alone. They can be surrounded by people who care about them, yet secretly wonder if anyone truly understands the world the way they experience it from within. Over time, this creates a quiet loneliness that is difficult to explain. Not the loneliness of having nobody around, but the loneliness of feeling emotionally unseen despite being physically present among others every day. Many begin questioning themselves. They wonder whether they are overthinking, whether they are too sensitive, whether something is wrong with the way their minds work. Yet the truth is often far more complex and surprisingly human. Because what appears to be overthinking is frequently a deeper psychological pattern shaped by awareness, adaptation, emotional intelligence, and the brain's relentless search for meaning. And that is exactly what we are about to decode. People who think deeply are rarely born carrying the full weight of that tendency. More often, it develops gradually, shaped by experiences that teach the mind to pay closer attention than usual. What begins as awareness eventually becomes a permanent way of seeing the world. For some, this pattern starts in childhood. They grow up in environments where emotions are unpredictable, subtle, or difficult to read. Without realizing it, their brains learn to scan for signals constantly, searching for clues that help them understand what might happen next. A parent's tone changes slightly. A teacher seems unusually quiet. A friend suddenly becomes distant. While others move on without noticing, the observant child learns that small details can carry important information. Awareness becomes a form of emotional protection. Psychologists often describe this process as adaptation. The brain is designed to help us survive, and survival is not always physical. Sometimes it is emotional. When uncertainty becomes familiar, the mind develops stronger pattern recognition to reduce future discomfort. Over time, neural pathways associated with attention, prediction, and emotional processing become increasingly active. The brain begins connecting pieces automatically, creating stories, explanations, and possibilities long before conscious awareness fully catches up with what it is doing. This ability can become incredibly useful. It allows people to understand motives, anticipate outcomes, and empathize deeply with others. They often become excellent listeners because they are naturally skilled at recognizing emotions hidden beneath words. Yet every adaptation comes with a cost. The brain that constantly searches for meaning can struggle to rest. When everything feels connected, every conversation becomes data, every silence becomes a clue, and every uncertainty becomes a puzzle demanding resolution. This does not mean something is wrong with you. It means your mind learned to become exceptionally attentive. What feels like overthinking is often the result of a brain that became highly trained to notice, interpret, and prepare for possibilities before they arrive. One sign of a deeply analytical mind is the inability to take words at face value. When someone speaks, attention naturally moves beyond the sentence itself. The focus shifts toward tone, timing, expression, and the emotions hiding beneath the surface. A friend may casually say they are fine, yet something feels different. Their smile arrives a second too late. Their energy seems distant. Long after the conversation ends, the mind continues examining details others would have forgotten immediately. Psychologically, this happens because the brain becomes highly sensitive to emotional inconsistencies. It learns that human communication is rarely limited to language alone. Much of what people feel is communicated indirectly, through signals that exist beneath conscious awareness. While this sensitivity often strengthens empathy, it also creates emotional weight. The more hidden layers a person notices, the harder it becomes to experience simple interactions without analyzing them. And this naturally leads to another pattern. Many deep thinkers struggle to fully enjoy the present moment. Even during positive experiences, part of the mind quietly drifts into reflection, interpretation, or prediction. The moment is lived while simultaneously being examined from a distance. Imagine sitting with friends during a beautiful evening. Everyone else laughs freely. Yet part of your attention wonders how long the friendship will last, how everyone truly feels, or whether this moment will eventually become a memory. Neuroscience suggests this tendency is connected to the brain's default mode network, a system associated with self-reflection and mental simulation. When highly active, it encourages continuous evaluation of experiences, identities, and future possibilities. Although this can generate profound insight, it often steals emotional presence. The mind becomes a narrator, observing life instead of fully participating in it. And eventually, another deeper sign begins to emerge. People who think deeply often feel responsible for understanding everything before making decisions. Even small choices can trigger extensive internal debates. Every possibility is explored, every outcome imagined, and every consequence mentally rehearsed. A simple message can remain unsent for hours because multiple interpretations are considered. A career choice becomes a maze of hypothetical futures. The desire to choose correctly slowly transforms into the fear of choosing imperfectly. From a psychological perspective, this reflects the brain's attempt to create certainty. By gathering more information and imagining more outcomes, the mind believes it can avoid regret. Unfortunately, certainty rarely arrives in the way it hopes. The result is often decision fatigue. Instead of feeling safer, the person becomes mentally exhausted. Possibilities multiply faster than conclusions. And beneath this exhaustion lies an even more personal struggle. Another sign appears in relationships. Deep thinkers often understand others with remarkable accuracy while feeling difficult to understand themselves. They can explain another person's emotions clearly, yet struggle to communicate the complexity of their own inner world. When they attempt to share what they feel, words seem insufficient. Thoughts arrive with layers, contradictions, and nuances that resist simple explanation. What exists vividly inside the mind emerges incomplete once spoken aloud. This creates a painful paradox. The individual becomes the person others seek for understanding, yet secretly longs for the same experience themselves. They listen deeply to others while wondering whether anyone truly listens that deeply to them. Over time, these patterns begin connecting together. The heightened awareness, constant reflection, search for certainty, and longing to be understood all originate from the same source. A mind trained to see more than what appears on the surface. And while this depth can create wisdom, empathy, and insight, it also quietly increases emotional complexity. The deeper someone sees into life, the harder it becomes to look away from its unanswered questions. As awareness continues to grow, something unexpected begins to happen. The mind that once helped create understanding slowly becomes trapped inside its own abilities. What started as perception gradually transforms into perpetual mental vigilance. Instead of simply experiencing emotions, the person analyzes them. Instead of feeling sadness, they investigate its origins. Instead of enjoying happiness, they wonder how long it will last before it disappears again. The brain becomes increasingly focused on prediction. It studies patterns, searches for warning signs, and prepares for future outcomes before they arrive. At first, this feels useful. Eventually, it becomes exhausting. A delayed reply becomes evidence to examine. A change in someone's behavior becomes a mystery demanding explanation. Small uncertainties expand into endless possibilities, each one competing for attention inside an already crowded mind. This cycle often creates anxiety, though not always in obvious ways. It may appear as restlessness, difficulty relaxing, emotional tension, or the feeling that something important has been overlooked despite having no clear reason to believe so. The deeper issue is not intelligence or awareness itself. The deeper issue is the illusion of control. The mind quietly convinces itself that if it thinks long enough, predicts accurately enough, or understands deeply enough, uncertainty can be eliminated. But life refuses to cooperate with that expectation. People remain unpredictable. Relationships change. Opportunities appear and disappear. Answers stay incomplete. No amount of analysis can fully remove the uncertainty built into existence itself. This realization creates a hidden form of loneliness. Not because others reject them, but because they often live inside a reality filled with questions most people never ask. Their inner world becomes difficult to share. Conversations may feel shallow, even when they are enjoyable. Social gatherings can feel strangely distant, despite genuine connection. The individual participates outwardly, while inwardly carrying thoughts too complex to explain in a few sentences. Eventually, emotional exhaustion begins to appear. The constant observation, interpretation, prediction, and reflection consume enormous mental energy. Even moments of rest can become opportunities for further analysis rather than recovery. And perhaps the most painful part is this. Many deeply aware people secretly believe that if they stop analyzing, they will lose something essential about themselves. Yet the very habit protecting their identity may also be preventing their peace. Healing begins when a person realizes that awareness and responsibility are not the same thing. Noticing everything does not mean carrying everything. Understanding every possibility does not require preparing for every possibility. One of the most freeing psychological shifts is recognizing that uncertainty is not a problem to solve. It is a condition of being human. The mind often treats uncertainty like danger when it is simply part of life itself. This changes the relationship with thought. Instead of chasing every question toward an answer, a person learns to let some questions remain open. Not every mystery requires investigation. Not every feeling requires interpretation. Research on mindfulness suggests that emotional well-being improves when people spend less energy controlling internal experiences and more energy observing them with acceptance. Thoughts become visitors rather than commands that must always be obeyed. Deep thinkers often fear that acceptance means becoming less intelligent or less aware. In reality, the opposite is true. Acceptance allows awareness to become clearer because it is no longer distorted by constant resistance. Another important realization is that being understood perfectly is not a requirement for connection. No human being can fully communicate every layer of their inner world. Yet meaningful relationships are built through shared effort, not perfect comprehension. The goal is not to think less deeply. The goal is to suffer less from the depth itself. Awareness becomes healthier when it serves life instead of replacing it. And slowly, the person who once lived entirely inside their mind begins returning to the present moment, not abandoning their depth, but learning to carry it with greater gentleness and peace. Perhaps the deepest truth is that your mind was never meant to become a prison. It was meant to become a lantern, illuminating hidden corners of life, while still allowing you to walk forward. The world needs people who notice subtleties, ask difficult questions, and search for meaning. But wisdom appears when awareness is balanced with presence, when insight is matched by compassion toward yourself and others. If this story felt familiar, remember that depth is not a flaw. It is a rare way of experiencing existence, one that becomes beautiful when carried without constant self-judgment or fear alone. And if these reflections resonated with you, share your thoughts below, leave a like, and subscribe. Until next time, move gently through life, trusting that understanding begins within and grows through quiet acceptance.